that's offered by MDE. And if you have questions about the paper tutoring after this, please speak with Amanda. She can provide you all kinds of information about that, and we appreciate you for coming also. Thank you.
All right, good evening, everyone. As Ms. Beck said, I'm Ashley Maxwell, and I am a literacy coach with MDE. And we're just excited to be here tonight, and excited that you all are here to learn as much information as you can to help your students, your whether it's your children, your grandchildren, your nieces, your nephews, or whoever it may be. So we're just gonna go ahead and get started with our presentation for tonight. This is our Building Strong Readers, Families as Partners presentation that we present across the state to help build awareness of the Literacy Based Promotion Act. And we represent the Division of Literacy at MDE's Office of Elementary Reading and Education. So, the state of Mississippi has six strategic plan goals, and goal one is that all students are proficient and showing growth in all assessed areas. Goal two is that every student graduates from high school and is ready for college and career. Goal three is that every child has access to a high quality early childhood program. Goal four is that every school has effective teachers and leaders. Goal five, every community effectively uses a world class data system to improve student outcomes. And goal six of that strategic plan goals is that every school and district is rated a C or higher. And at the Mississippi Department of Education, our vision is to create a world class educational system that gives students the knowledge and skills to be successful in college and the workforce and to flourish as parents and citizens. And our overall mission is to provide leadership through the development of policy and accountability systems so that all students are prepared to compete in the global community. And last but not least, our session goals for tonight. The first goal is that we're going to discuss families as partners and the Literacy Based Promotion Act, and you may hear it referenced throughout the night as LBPA. Goal two is to explore the Mississippi Grade 3 Reading Assessment. Goal three, we're going to discuss Mississippi's approach to teaching reading. And goal four, we are going to provide some at-home resources to improve students' reading skills. So we hope that you all sit back and enjoy the presentation.
Good evening, and you heard my name is Summer Walker. And the first thing we're going to look at is families as partners. So there's a lot of information on this slide based on an analysis of reading scores and graduation rates of 3,975 students over a 10-year period. We'll see, if you look in this section where the people are on this right side, that students who are not reading proficiently in third grade are 4 times more likely not to graduate high school. African American or Hispanic students are 6 times more likely to drop out or fail to graduate from high school. If they're low income minorities, they're 8 times more likely to drop out or fail from high school. In fact, if you look in the circle to the left side, 88% of students who failed to earn a diploma were struggling readers in third grade. These are astronomical numbers. Look in the bottom. If we're looking at our high school dropouts are not eligible for 90% of the jobs in the economy. So this tells us that we not only have an educational problem, we have an economical problem as well. High school dropouts have yearly earnings that are less than 50% of someone who earns a bachelor's degree. High school dropouts make up nearly 50% of all of heads of households on welfare. Another fact is that 7 out of every 10 prison inmates can't read above a 4th grade level. So this is so important that we get our students to reading proficiently before 3rd grade or by 3rd grade. We want them to be reading proficiently, and that's where we'll take this through the presentation of how can you help with that. So our next slide. So we have what is called the NAEP test. It's a nationwide test, the National Assessment of Educational Progress, that's given every 2 years to 4th grade and 8th grade students. Mississippi was #1 in growth on the 2019 NAEP assessment because we began to recognize the science of reading and the focus on teaching it in our state. The bottom of the graph here, you'll see how do children learn to read. This is why this decision was made and why it's been successful for us. So let's take a look at the yellow question. How many children learn to read? So the 2019 NAEP reading scores show us that if we have a class of 28 students, that 65% did not meet proficiency. How many children can learn to read, though? Look at that bottom. 95 in the middle, I'm sorry. 95% of students, regardless of their background, are capable of learning with explicit, systematic, and sequential instruction in foundational skills. So 95% of students are able to learn how to read. The bottom again takes this class of 28 students and breaks it down. 30% of these students would learn regardless of the method that's used to teach them reading. They're going to learn it either way. 50% learn with explicit, systematic, and sequential instruction in foundational skills. That's why this is so important. 15% require structured literacy, and we'll talk about what structured literacy is in just a minute, and additional time and support, which may look like interventions or tier support. 5%, and I can hardly read that red, I'm sorry, 5% with severe cognitive disabilities will struggle to become proficient. So let's look at the Literacy-Based Promotion Act.
Okay, so over the past 8 years, Mississippi has worked to improve reading outcomes across the state. And through the and this has been through the implementation of the Literacy-Based Promotion Act, or LBPA. Improving reading. So the overarching goal of the Literacy-Based Promotion Act is to improve reading skills for kindergarten through 3rd grade students so that every student completing 3rd grade is reading at or above grade level. The law requires that all kindergarten students be assessed at the beginning and the end of the year to determine readiness and growth through the year. This data also gives us information regarding the percentage of students coming to school ready. In addition, the Literacy-Based Promotion Act also requires all students, kindergarten through 3rd grade, to take the Universal Screener at the beginning and at the middle and at the end of the year. The Universal Screener determines a student's progress in reading. And there are 6 approved screeners for the state. However, most of our schools use either STAR, iReady, or NWEA MAP, and you've probably heard those terms if your school uses one of those. So we're going to take a moment to discuss the universal screeners. Once the universal screeners are given, in kindergarten through 3rd grade, if a student scores below grade level, then they should be assessed with a diagnostic assessment. And the diagnostic assessment helps determine the targeted instruction or intervention area. And so this is like if you're going to the doctor and they do they screen you for weight, they take your temperature, those kinds of things, so that you're getting down to the nitty-gritty of what's really going on with you. A diagnostic assessment gives in-depth, specific information regarding where a student is in their reading progress for proficiency. And the diagnostic assessments are used to inform teachers in how they need to instruct those students and guide them in interventions to help with those deficiencies. Once the targeted and supports and interventions are identified, per the law, students who are receiving intensive instruction and interventions must receive an individual reading plan or an IRP. You might hear the term IRP. This was an amendment that was made to the Literacy-Based Promotion Act in 2016 to ensure that struggling readers are getting what they need to catch up to be able to read on grade level. So parent notification. Per the law, if a K through 3rd grade student has been identified with a substantial reading deficiency in reading, parents must receive written notification within 10 business days of each screener. So your beginning, middle, and end of the year screeners. A 3rd grade student who fails to meet the academic requirements for promotion to 4th grade may be promoted with a good cause. And we'll get into what good cause is in just a few minutes. So in your parent notification letter, the information that you should receive is that your child has been identified with a substantial deficiency, the services that the school or district is currently providing for the student, and then also the proposed supplemental instruction based on that diagnostic that was given to the student on their targeted deficit, what they're doing, and it will be outlined in that individual reading plan. If a student's reading deficiency is not remediated before the end of the student's 3rd grade year, the student will not be promoted to 4th grade unless they meet the good cause exemption, one of the good cause exemption specifications. So the Mississippi Academic Assessment Program, or MAP. The MAP ELA assessment will determine whether a 3rd grade student is promoted or retained. A student must score a level 3 or above to be promoted to 4th grade. So during the 2022-2023 this school year in the spring, the first window for the assessment is April 3rd through the 21st. The alternate forms for the assessment are their forms B and C for the 3rd grade assessment will be given at later opportunities for the students who did not pass the first time. So does writing count? Achieving a composite score of level 3 or higher for a 3rd grade on the MAP ELA assessment after writing is scored is considered a good cause exemption D for that student. So if the writing has bumped a student who received a did not meet on the first test, if it has bumped them up to a level 3, then the student will be promoted under good cause exemption D. However, if the student receives a MET and the writing drops them to a level 2, that still does not affect the student's score. And this is kind of a flow chart of how the process works. The student in 3rd grade takes the MAP ELA assessment. If they pass, they are promoted to 4th grade. If they fail, they are given a diagnostic IRP interventions, and or if they meet a good cause exemption, then they will pass, promoted to 4th grade. If they do not meet good cause exemption and they did not pass the first test, then they are given an opportunity to take the test again, and we'll give you those dates in a few minutes. If they pass that test, then they are promoted to 4th grade on good cause exemption D. If they fail, they are again given intensive intervention. They have an opportunity to take the test again, and this final test, if they pass, they could be promoted for good cause exemption D, and if they fail, they will be retained in 3rd grade. So good cause exemption. These are the 5 good cause exemptions categories that students can fall under. The first is a student, good cause exemption A is a student with limited English proficiency who has less than 2 years of instruction in an English language learner program. Good cause exemption B are students with disabilities whose individual educational program plans are say that they cannot take the test, the accountability test for the state. And so they are authorized under state law to pass under good cause exemptions B. Good cause exemptions C are students with disabilities who participate in the state annual accountability assessment and who have an IEP or a 504 plan, and they reflect that the student has received intensive remediation in reading for 2 years but still demonstrated deficiency or was previously retained in kindergarten or first, second, or third grade. Good cause exemption D, and we've heard that the good cause exemption D a few times now. Those are students who demonstrate an acceptable level of reading proficiency on an alternate assessment approved by the State Board of Education. So that would be your second test, third test of the writing. Students who receive intensive intervention in reading for 2 years or more years but still demonstrate deficiency in reading and who previously were retained for 2 years in any grade, kindergarten through third, would pass under good cause exemption E. The law states that a third grade student who does not meet the academic requirements for promotion to the fourth grade may be promoted by the school district only for good cause. So a student who is promoted to fourth grade with a good cause exemption shall be provided an individual reading plan. And this outlines an intensive reading instruction and intervention, which is informed by the diagnostic information that they receive. The teacher uses that information to plan the instruction and intervention for those students for fourth grade who pass on good cause. So you might wonder what the MAP practice test looks like. If you would like to see a sample test, you can scan the QR code and it will take you to MD and let you see what a sample test look like. But we will take a glance at a couple of practice questions. This first question says, according to the diagram in What is Earth, in which 2 months does the sun shine equally in the southern and northern hemisphere? So to answer this question, the student needs to be able to read the words on the passage and also understand what the diagram is saying to answer this question correctly. This question, it is a sampled item test 2, and it is a passage, What is the Earth? And then a student has part A and part B questions to answer. So a student who answers part A question and gets it correct, then they use that answer to answer part B question. They can get partial credit for getting part A correct. However, if they miss part A and get part B correct, they will not get credit because part B's answer is determined by what they answer in part A. And there are other questions on the QR code if you would like to go and look at those. So we talked about the different testing dates. I already mentioned that April 3rd through the 21st is when the window for the first test. The retest window, number 1, is May 8th through 12th, and this would be the alternate reading assessment, and the test window for number 2 is June 19th through June 30th. And Summer is going to talk to you about Mississippi's approaches to teaching and reading.
Okay, so let's look at the simple view of reading. So the simple view of reading is a formula that demonstrates a widely accepted view that reading has 2 basic components. And you'll see the first component is decoding times language comprehension equals reading comprehension. Now, under each of those components, you'll see decoding entails phonemic awareness, which is working with sounds, and phonics, working with letters and sounds. Language comprehension, the 3 things that fall under that is listening, comprehension, and vocabulary. Now, I'm not a math person, I'm a literacy person, but I know my zeros multiplication facts. So I know that if we have 0 decoding times language comprehension, a 1, they would have what at the end? A 0. They still have no comprehension. So if they have a low phonics or low phonemic awareness area, it's very possible and most likely that they're going to have no comprehension. So we start at that foundation. I see some people agreeing. We start at that foundation and we work our way up, and we have to build all these components in order to have a reading comprehension at the end. So structured literacy, we mentioned structured literacy a few minutes ago. So the LBPA places an emphasis on grade level reading skills, particularly as students progress through grades K through 3. The LBPA calls for effective reading instructional practices grounded in the science of reading. And these components of structured literacy that are listed below are just what we said. There's a couple extras that may be included that are listed more specifically. So we'll see phonological awareness, phonics and word recognition, fluency, vocabulary, listening and reading comprehension, and written expression. And we want to see all of these things going on in our classroom, and these are some things that we can do even at home with our own children. You'll see the gold bracket there, and that's talking about an emphasis on knowledge building. We want to build knowledge with our students outside of what they may already bring to the classroom. And we want to give all students access to complex text in their classroom. And even at home, we want them to have that access if possible. So let's look here at Strong Readers activities. Now you can access this website. This is made and created for parents and families. You can access this at strongreadersmississippims.com, or you can click the QR code there. You'll be able to choose the grade level that's appropriate and then go to that component. If you need to work on phonics, if you need to work on comprehension, you click that. It lists activities, multiple activities that you could do at home with things you already have. One activity was, I know, like swatting a word. You can use that fly swat and they can hit the word or the letter that maybe that you call out to them. It may give activities that you can do in the car without even any materials. So that is a website that encourages you as parents and families to build that knowledge at home. And then we want to look at advocating for your child's literacy needs, and we all want to be an advocate for our child. So how do we do that? The first thing we can do is think about a couple of questions. And I know I'm clicking this. Whoop. Oh my gracious. Okay, sorry. So families as partners. So how do you partner with your child's teacher? So these are just some things to think about. What help or resources do you need to strengthen the relationship? What help or resources do you need to support your child in reading at home? And these are just some things for you to reflect on as a parent. Check for potholes. So there's a few questions that you might want to ask going into your child's school. Are phonological awareness, phonics, and spelling taught explicitly and systematically? Does phonics instruction focus on blending and segmenting sounds to read and spell words? Are there opportunities for my child to read books that have the phonics skills he or she has learned in them? And when my child reads aloud, is she or he encouraged to look carefully at printed words and use decoding skills to read unknown words? Just some more questions you could take in if you're a little unsure. So becoming a literacy advocate, we want to think about 4 things: review, record, request, and refer. So for review, learn about the school's system of support for literacy and learn where your child fits within that system. And then record. Keep a notebook and folder of information and communications about your child's reading and writing. Request. Talk with other parents and families who have similar experiences. Find out about your district's literacy initiatives and supports. And refer. Ask the school about opportunities to provide input on literacy approaches and practices and help make decisions. So communicating with the school. Communicate regularly with teachers to know your child's reading level. You must be notified immediately if a reading deficiency is identified. At-home reading strategies will be shared with you to help increase reading proficiency and address any concerns as early as possible. Now, that all goes back to communicating with your child's school and communicating with your child's teacher. And those are just some strategies that may help you get that ball rolling. And Ashley, I believe, if the clicker, okay.
Okay. As we get ready to close out our presentation tonight, we just want to take a moment to go over some of our literacy partners. So the first one that we have is Paper Tutoring for Mississippi, and we actually do have a representative for Paper here. We introduced her at the beginning. So this is a partnership that provides free tutoring to the students of Mississippi. And so if you have any questions about that or need more information, you can go to that website, or you can talk to Miss Amanda in the back before you leave. Also, MPB Classroom TV is something that literacy coaches work together on to create phonics and reading lessons and film those for the MPB TV channel. And you can find those episodes either on YouTube, or you can go to that website and look to see what your local MPB Classroom TV channel is. So some key takeaways that we want to make sure to point out before we leave is, as a parent, you will always be your child's first teacher. So always maintain open communication with your child's teachers and their schools. Like Summer was talking about, we want to make sure that we're an advocate for our children. You can go to the strongreadersms.com, which is our Strong Readers for Mississippi website, and look at the activities and suggestions and work on those skills at home to build some of those knowledge gaps. Ask questions, become involved, and attend school functions when possible. And here are some more resources for families. So PBS Kids has a lot of games and articles and crafts for parents and families to do at home. And then a couple of those other ones just provide more information and activities for you to do with your child to build reading skills at home. And then this is the contact information for the Division of Literacy at the Mississippi Department of Education. And I'm going to turn it back over to Melissa Beck, who is our assessment coordinator.
I don't like to stand behind the podium. I have to walk a little bit. Okay, so this is a time for question and answer. So does anyone have any questions or questions that they would like answered tonight? If you don't want to ask out loud, we'll be around at the end if you want to come up to us and talk to us. But right now I'm going to give y'all just a few minutes if anyone has anything they want to ask. Yes, sir. Yes, we have the presentation posted on the website. I don't have it printed today, but yes, sir. But I'm sure someone from the school district can provide it to you also. Mm-hmm. Correct. So students starting in kindergarten should be receiving explicit instruction in all those areas, but we do know there are some students who have potholes. They're missing some pieces. And so if your child is in interventions, ask them, what are the potholes? What are y'all working on to provide extra support to my student in these areas? Good question. Thank you. Anyone else? Yes, sir. Mm-hmm. 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 Yeah, so one of the things, of course, is parent nights, like we're having tonight, to inform parents, to get them out, to show them some things, that resources that are available. The other partnership is Paper. Paper is going to be able to provide tutoring for those students who have potholes from those past 2 years, and they will be able to provide that tutoring 24/7 from your home, virtually. And so she has some flyers, I believe, and so make sure you get one of those flyers on your way out too. But also, collaboration with the district is a big, big piece. And so if you know your child or grandchild has some deficiencies, you need to be asking those questions now. Like, what are y'all doing in the district to help remediate the issues? What can y'all provide? In this district, y'all use iReady. I double checked that before. But y'all use iReady. iReady is a program that's going to screen the students, and then they're going to provide skills that teachers can be working on. And so they have those reports that are available to the teachers to help identify those issues for students and then send home to parents to be able to help. Anything else? Yes, ma'am. Mhm. 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 Does anyone from the district want to take that question? I mean, from my standpoint, I would say that the teacher is always going to ensure that the student is getting the instruction they need in the classroom while they're there. The parent, if there's a concern about the parent, the teacher is going to try and facilitate that collaboration with mom always and try and get mom to understand. I'm not sure what else the district is providing for parental support.
We have parent literacy liaisons at every school, and they do 2 meetings at the school each month that we really highly encourage parents to come to. They are teachers that take on this role to help with this. They do an excellent job of, being support. They also work with the other teachers. So I'm just going to pick on one that's here tonight. She's a 3rd grade teacher, but she will work in conjunction with the kindergarten teacher to see what they're needing to push forward and get through, because her day is 3rd grade, but she makes sure that she works with every grade level teacher to make sure that they're getting what they need. They also send home a newsletter twice a month, okay? Twice a month. And then they do community meetings once a month where all the parent literacy liaisons from each school come together and host a parent meeting to come in. So we do those type things to try to involve the parents.
Now, I would say if you have a concern about a specific parent after the meeting, if you'll find one of the district leadership, I'm sure they can pass on that word to that specific school so that they can make an effort to reach out to that mom or parent. Okay? Is that okay? All right. Anyone else? All right. We appreciate you for coming. We will be around, all of the MDE team and the district leadership that's here. We'll be around if you have questions that you want to come talk to us about. But otherwise, have a great night and thanks for coming. Oh, okay. Okay. Mhm. Mhm.
Okay.
Stay very, very.
Is that a simple explanation?
Oh, yes, ma'am. Yes. Yeah.
As a parent, I recall these things, and as a teacher, a former first grade teacher, many years ago, I recall these very things.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. All right. Thank y'all, and we'll be around.